Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and welcome back to probably the final reflection for a little while on the, what is it? Adventure Academia. Y'all know what it is. It's in the title. In the Adventure Academia series, specifically our House Specials part of it, where we're crafting it and making it and everything like that. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying and been able to keep up with us and everything. We're coming to the epilogue now. So the epilogue of the whole adventure, and these are very useful. I'll say this right now, these are very useful for setting up that last little bit that happens so that the kids can be referenced back to it and say, hey, you want to know what happened after the last one before the season 3 starts? You got to go back and look. So keeps me from having to constantly remember and replay and stuff like that for them. So before we get into that, though, let's go ahead and do our announcements. So when this comes out, you should soon be seeing the results of the 2 collaboration trips we did with Avenue Studios. And we recorded another little chat up there that I have, as well as recording another chat for them. And also we have a game, that's right. I was saying the right word. We have a game coming out with that collaboration game that's going to be the Iliad. It turned into a sum shot. The Iliad one shot. Where it was his time skip. So you guys should enjoy that for the Bomb Squad followers out there. But that's what we've got for collaborations. The rest of this year is going to be fairly steady as far as content, I'm hoping. I do apologize about the art one not going off, but what can you do when you don't have the internet connection right yet? Lord willing definitely by this time next year, but Lord willing by this time, Lord willing, next year, early part of the year, if not before then, we'll have better internet here. And it will be running a lot smoother, and we'll be able to do more things starting next year, like the art streams. I'm hoping that those become something that we can do, because that helps me make the art that needs to go in the PDFs, rather than just making abstract art that's in my head and I'm getting down on the paper in my art journal, which I've been sharing some on the social medias. So if you want to see some of those, you can check out the Inn of Planar Crossroads social medias. A friend asked me to share them, so hopefully that person is enjoying them as well as you guys. I think that's basically it as far as things to go over for announcements right now. So let's go ahead and get into the epilogue. So I broke this one apart like I usually do, one half page and then a space for a picture and then another half page. So this first part goes as following. Long indeed was the struggle with Grum. Outside the great fortress, blades clashed and magical sparks flew. Without his relentless will to motivate it, Grum's stronghold jerkily settled down into an off-kilter crouch. The liberation forces took new courage watching the fell energies drain from the eyes of the monstrous construction. War leader Fireaxe wasted no time. He and his most loyal warriors headed the charge to breach the beastly building. Inside, the beleaguered heroes were able to strike the final blow against the wicked green dragon. With a devastating cry that echoed through the halls of the fortress and out to those on the battlefield, the draconic menace had met his end. To the group's surprise, the tyrant's body did not remain intact. Upon his defeat, the same sickly green energy that had been used to animate Grum's creations now flowed out of him. The verdant orb on the ceiling shattered, and all the power that the Dauntless had ever used flowed back into the artifact that the sphere was containing, a large golden key with emerald-like gems set in it. As Grum's mystical force was drawn into the relic, so too was it drawn out of all those things which he had twisted and perverted. Withered, whether moss or fungus, warg or thorn, all those changed by his evil rituals were freed. A surprised jubilation erupted almost instantly as all present understood what this great thing meant. They were all free once more. So there we have a triumphant end to the adventure for them, and this was a larger, grander part of an adventure. Season 1 was a much more personal adventure, so it ended with a reflection that was much more personal with Remigius. But this one didn't do that, and I didn't want to make a huge, because I could write multiple pages about what happened, but 2 half pages is enough for this type of a story for the kids. So if I like to write these as if they were going to be read to the kids as, hey, this is what happened at the end, and tell us about what you think and stuff like that for the kids. So that's why these are going to be half pages. But hopefully that was a satisfactory end, and we had a lead into something that's important with that large golden key with emerald gems set into it. Why did the energy flow back to that? What was this orb, the purpose of this orb, though that's fairly evident, I would think. But the golden key itself, that wasn't something that's heavily talked about, in the lore. We haven't touched on it anyway, for sure. So hopefully that provides a little bit of a mystery. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the next portion, which is the final portion, the ending out. What happens after the battle? So we have what happened during the battle, including I wanted to do that outside stuff. Now we're going with what went on just after the battle finished, and then what everybody did and things like that. So let's do that. Battered and bruised, the victorious party slowly made their way through the halls of the now stationary fortification. At first, they were able to simply walk amongst the liberation forces undisturbed. But once Fireaxe saw them, he knew it was they that had slain the great foe to the woodland peoples, and would not let them out of his sight. Nor did he miss an opportunity to lavish praise on them for their heroic deeds. Thankfully, he was able to eventually get them to a private battle tent where they could recover in peace. There was much rejoicing following the successful reclamation of the woodlands, but there was also grieving. Many had fallen in the battle, including Wilhelm's mother's brother, Chief Thornripper. Most expected Wilhelm to assume the leadership of his tribe after such a loss, but he knew that while he was a great warrior, what the tribe would need in the coming time of peace would be a diplomat and not a commander. Thus, he suggested his cousin, Thornripper's son, Farseer Oakenbranch. When all the injured were retrieved, and all the spoil gotten, the Liberation Force, soon to be renamed the Full Moon Alliance, burned the dauntless fortress where it stood, both as a way of purifying the hearts of the people, and as a memorial pyre for those lost in the conflict. All thought fire an appropriate end for that which represented Grum and his past wickedness. Little did our heroes know that fire was not far from their own future. Dark wings bore tidings back west over the mountains to the city of Bronze, and further west still, black smoke rose from a mountainous inferno. The end of Season 2. All right, so I think that setup for the last, for the follow-up the next season should be fun. As I said before, it's not been made a secret to anybody that we're going to be fighting Rexus next, or, going against Rexus. So that would mean Season 3, we're going to be fighting against some Kobold forces. And then Season 4 should be a fight against Rexus eventually. So that should be fun. You'll also get to meet there'll probably be more interaction with the dwarves over that way than there was in this one, because in this one, no, there wasn't really dwarves. It was mainly gnomes that were interacted with, but the dwarves have been fighting Rexus a lot. He's very aggressive. So Rexus is no stranger to conflict. He is the youngest of the dragons, it is believed, but he is also the most reckless, the most aggressive, and the most feisty. He is very fiery. I make no apologies for the puns that I do on this channel. All puns intended, as we say. But I liked writing this one. I'm trying to mix in, especially as we go along, different words and different phrasing for the kids. Inferno is going to be new because we're dealing with fire, so we'll be dealing with a lot of fire adjectives. And as part of my final reflections and stuff like that, which is what we're leading into, I think that those uses of different words has been helpful for the kids. I could tell that the kids were reading better by the end than they were before at the start. That has something to do with them getting used to my style of writing, but also with them just being better readers by having to read out loud to each other. And nobody fusses at each other's reading that much because I don't allow it. Like, we're all here to read and learn, and everybody has to read so nobody can complain about how they read. I use things like mother's brother instead of uncle here, so that if this was ever done in a classroom, they can be like, what's mother's brother? It means uncle. But it's a way to say uncle. And so you build out that understanding, knitting your education together. I think that the fun thing with this next one is going to be seeing them handle the different situations that I'm going to end up putting them in. I'm still going to be doing those challenge events and stuff like that. That works real well. That's something I'm going to continue, but I'm wanting to see how the story progresses with them and goes with them. It should be fun. I thought this was an appropriate end, and it allows the fortress to not be reanimated. If someone tries to do that, you'd have to rebuild the entire fortress because they burned it as an effigy. So there we go. It prevents a lot of bad stuff from happening right off the bat. I think this was a good end for everything. And if you think so, you can tell me in the comment section below. I'm sure I've gone on long enough. This was just the epilogue for everybody. Leave your comments and suggestions and stuff like that down below if you would like. Remember, if you want to help support the Planar Crossroads, you can do that through Patreon, Subscribestar, or Locals. And if you don't have any of those, but you still want to support, you can always contact us directly. So that is also an option for you. You can either reach out. The email to do that, I probably need to start saying that. The email to do that is theiopc@protonmail.com. So there you are. That's everything I've got. So if there's nothing else, as always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Inside the beleaguered here. Okay. There. First blooper. Yay. Okay. Okay. But once Fire Axe saw them and... Start over. There was much rejoicing to assume the leadership of his tribe after such a loss. Start that over. There was much rejoicing following the Cusco, but there was also much grieving. Enunciate. After such... gotta fix that. Black smoke rose from a monstrous... Okay, I think I made enough goofs while reading to get some bloopers in there.